is the weekend in Taipei, and if that's what a weekend feels like, I need a vacation from my vacation. All right, I'm gonna pull up George and Wyatt and Luke and whoever else they want to bring up. Okay. All right. Who wants it first? Yeah, you're first. All right. So I'm going to give you guys all the easy question. How did you all get involved in this particular project?
Let's move to the middle. So let's do this properly. Center stage. There we go. Right.
Yeah, so I sent in several audition tapes, and then I finally got a chemistry read with May and Luke Besson and George. Unfortunately, Luke wasn't there. But
You didn't have a chemistry read with me. I'd have given you the role. You were great.
yeah, and then I eventually got it. Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
What was the question?
How did you get involved in the project?
So, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't remember when I worked with
2019. Right?
Anna.
Yeah,
We're talking about Anna,
Yep.
yeah. There was a movie called Anna that Luc Besson directed. And it was with Helen Mirren, Cillian Murphy, me, and Sasha Luce. And we had a good experience on it. We worked in Moscow and Paris. And then Luke said, I'm gonna think of you for something else. We're gonna work together another time. And then 4 years later, George and Luke come with this script called Weekend in Taipei with this guy called John. And that's how I got the job.
Awesome. All right.
Well, about 10 years ago at Christmas, I get a call from, somebody says, this is Luc Besson. I read your script. I like it very much and would like to talk movie. And I said, haha, very funny, Albert. I thought it was my manager playing a joke on me, and I hung up on him. Fortunately, Luke called back and said, no, this is Luc Besson. Please come over to my house. We talk movies. And so, 10 years ago, I sat down with Luke. And he's an incredible filmmaker. But what I love about Luke, he's also fearless. And he just loves to make movies. He's just constantly making movies. When I met with him and said, look, you come work with me. This year I make more movies than Fox. I said, great, okay, let's go. And so we wrote a script together. Then we wrote another one. And then we wrote another one. And 10 years had gone by. And so when we finally wrote this one, I think he and his wife Virginie just felt so bad. It's like, okay, we got to pull this into production no matter what it takes. And so, so thankfully, it all came out of that.
That's awesome. All right, so I think I mentioned to you outside that I was going to ask this question, but the music in the first three tracks, with the is it Paint It Black?
Yep.
The Moon River, and which I think is brilliant. It's my favorite scene in the entire movie. What did you guys think of Moon River and that Holly Golightly black dress while she's driving that car? Was that not the hottest thing in the world? Yeah. So, and then of course, Luke's Johnny Cash bit. So who decided to put this kind of music into, was it you, or did you have a music supervisor who was just like, I'm gonna be bold?
Well, it was Luke and I, so we wrote the script together, and immediately from the top we wanted,
The other Luke.
Luke Besson.
Every time he mentions my name, I'm like, I wasn't there.
Well, let's let him know, Luke is an amazing song and dance man, and if we wanted to,
More song, less dance.
we wanted him to just basically do the entire music for the film.
He could have fought to Gaston.
He could have, exactly.
Gaston's song in
Exactly.
that bar would have been
That is.
perfect.
Those days are gone. Carry on with the songs. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I love the music.
So, so the Breakfast at Tiffany's homage was something we always put in the script. We weren't sure if we could clear the rights.
It's a very expensive soundtrack.
It's a very expensive, but fortunately, so Luke said, well, you're the director, you write a letter to Paramount and ask, and fortunately turns out the head of licensing at Paramount was someone I was an assistant with way back in the day at Paramount. I said, oh yeah, it's you? Okay. Great, yeah. Well, yeah. So we were able to clear that right away. The Paint It Black was, when I was in Taiwan, I met this artist named Nini, who was actually just recently a finalist on America's Got Talent. And what she's done is she does covers of songs with traditional Taiwanese instruments. And so when I heard her cover Paint It Black, I played it for Luc Besson. He said, "Oh my God, this is a great way to start the movie."
Yeah.
And then the Johnny Cash Ring of Fire, that was Luc Besson's idea. He said, the fight, we need to break it up. We want to, highlight the humor of it. And having a song like that definitely helps to sort of downplay the violence of it, So just cue the audience. We're gonna have some fun with this.
Yeah, well, and yeah, it worked.
Okay,
I
great.
mean, 5-6 minutes into the movie, I was like, oh yeah, I'm sold. So, all right, do we have any questions out in the audience?
The last fight scene, when the movie in the background's playing, it's the
House of Flying Daggers, very good, nice.
Caesar's an expert about this film, but I thought that was amazing. That was really, really cool. That
Thanks.
last fight scene with the movie in the background was great.
There was a lot of
Really hit, man.
there was a lot of phone calls.
To get that.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of clearances, a lot of
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Old friends calling.
Exactly.
Old friends
Yep.
getting.
Did you have the idea how did that come up? Like,
That
we're
was-
gonna have that in the background during the fight scene.
So the original script, the original fight scene was supposed to take place out in the Ximending district in the market, but we were scouting. It was summer in Taipei, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with the weather in Taiwan in the
It's
summer.
hot.
It is
really
hot.
hot.
It is hot and humid. Literally, like Luc Besson and I are walking through the alleys of Ximending. In 2 minutes we're just covered in sweat, and we're just marching back and forth trying to figure out where are we going to stage this. And I joked to him, I was like, yeah, too bad we can shoot there. And I pointed to a movie theater, and he looked at me and said, well, why can't we? I was like, okay. And then from then, once we sort of grasped that idea, then it became a matter of, what should they be playing? And it's like, well, we're in Taiwan, so let's find, an Asian film, a Chinese film, something that kind of mirrors the romance that's going on in our movie. And then we looked at a lot of sort of old, wuxia film stuff, but, House of Flying Daggers we were attracted to because all the other films were just kind of dark. This one took place in the snow, and so it gave us the light that we needed. It wasn't great for Luke because for 3 days he just had blinding white.
Well, yeah, like he's standing on the stage.
Snow projected right in his face, and and he's throwing.
Like it was a nightmare.
Yeah, so sadly Luke and Son were just smacking each other around. I'm going, this is great. Luke's going, I can't see anything. So,
Yeah, because they have spotlights on them plus the
exactly.
backlight
Plus
that-
plus this movie
Giant
being
projection,
projected
yeah.
right on them.
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah.
all white. Yeah.
And it's a very powerful lead of light. All right. Questions right up there. Yes, the blonde with the hand up.
There's a lot of
Oh no,
problems.
you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Not me, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Big fan, great movie. I just want to ask, what was your favorite moment on set, I guess, for actors and directors?
Do you know how many times I've been asked that question? It's like, can you not be original with these questions? Oh,
Here we go. I'm gonna have a think about something and let Wyatt come up with something brilliant.
Probably. I mean, when I was reading the script, I read over the part where Sung was beating the shit out of me, and I was like, wow, it's gonna be really fun to shoot. And like, yeah, yeah. So while I was shooting, I definitely learned a lot. And like, Sung's definitely a method actor, so he was very serious the whole time. And yeah, it was really fun to shoot. Yeah.
Remember, he's only 14.
oh, and I think we probably should really acknowledge that this was Wyatt's first film. Like, that's just, working with incredible, phenomenal actors from the British stage. It was literally a masterclass for you. I mean, you are gonna go on to great things. I'm just gonna say, because of what you learned, okay? No, but listen, Wyatt literally turned up, and within seconds of going, okay, well, you're Luke Evans, and this is Gray Lu Mei, we're on a film set, this is Luc Besson, with his guns, there's action. You literally went, okay, and the second they shouted action, and it's the best way to act, by the way, never lose it, is that he just went, okay, I'm in this now, you're my dad, this is my mom, and I'm gonna just pretend this is real. the 30 seconds we're going to shoot this, right? And he did this for the whole movie, and that's not easy to do. So really impressive. And I still can't answer your question. So I'm gonna
I mean, well, there's so many moments that I'm fond of. I mean, well, mainly just, on the weekends, just listening to Luke do karaoke and Wyatt do karaoke. They both have amazing singing voices, so it was getting like treated to a personal concert every weekend. But, and a part of the fun, it was frustrating at first, but you sort of learn to embrace the absurdity of it. But, we were working with the Taiwanese crew, so it was a lot of Mandarin being spoken. It was Luc Besson and some French crew there as well, so it was French being spoken and English being spoken. So a lot of stuff would sort of get lost in translation, and things would happen. Like one day I said, okay, well we need to discuss set dressing for the next week's shoot, and everyone brought a bunch of dresses to set. What's happening here? I said, well, you asked for set dressing. It's like, okay, that's on me. But then I remember there was one day where like Luc Besson, who was like behind the camera, goes, Luke, what are you doing? Luke, camera left, and he kept pointing the camera right, and like, and Luke finally looked at me and goes, have I been doing it wrong for 19 years?
Yeah, no.
Is this really camera left?
Yeah.
So leaning into sort of the absurdity and comedy of that sort of lost in translation. Yeah, it was frustrating at times, but it could be a lot of fun as well. So.
That's awesome.
Gentleman up there, that gentleman there.
Making this film, do you have any idea that this would be a reoccurring character possibly? Because it seems to have those elements of very interesting guy.
Where do they end up where do they go on holiday?
Paris.
Paris.
Yeah.
No. Then they end up in Paris?
Yeah.
Listen, if there's a sequel where they go somewhere warm, sunny, no danger,
Where do you want the
maybe a
sequel
bit of
to?
scuba diving.
Okay.
I'm up for that. You up for that? I'm up for that. No more fighting. No. Yeah, but
Do we have sharks?
I mean, it is definitely they leave it open for weekend in Orange County. Who knows?
Weekend in Newport.
What happens in Newport Beach stays in Newport Beach, right?
But you'd never get down the PCH. I can't see her navigating that car down the PCH on the weekend.
Well, you've not seen what George and Luke can do with the motorway. Yeah.
That's true. Okay, any other questions? Yes, okay, right up here.
Hi, lovely movie, and this question goes more towards George. As an Asian man directing in film in Hollywood, what has your experience been, and have you seen it change more in the recent years? I mean, I love seeing more Asian representation in film, so I was wondering what your experience has been.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, look, not to discount Luke's involvement in this. I mean, honestly, we would not have been able to get the project off the ground or even financed without Luke's involvement. But yeah, I remember starting in Hollywood 30 years ago, and I think there was like 2 Asians. I remember like I was an assistant at the Paramount lot, and there was another executive there named Teddy Z, and I would walk across the parking lot, and people would go, Teddy, and I turn and go, oh wait, no, you're not Teddy. So there was like basically 2 of us in Hollywood. Now, 30 years later, we're seeing a lot more, Asian representation behind and in front of the camera. But I got to say, working in Taiwan, where almost the entirety of the cast and crew were Asians, were faces that looked like me, was, I mean, it was something that I never thought I'd experience in my lifetime. It was very rewarding. And we're hoping that, we'll be able to keep up that trend, maybe even return to Taiwan and make more movies there. So yeah, so it was very, very gratifying.
Awesome, and then 2 seats over, yes. Yeah.
Sorry, this question's for Luke. You do so much. I mean, I love all your work. What criteria do you have for picking, like, what about this script or this project piqued your interest?
Well, over the years it's changed, but in the last 8-9 years, it's all about the character. It starts with the character. It starts what is on the page. Obviously, it's great if there's a great director attached, but it's about the story I want to tell, and it's about the film I want to have on my CV at this point. It's not about it's really about the stories and the characters. And if the character is interesting, then there's a conversation to be had with the filmmaker and the producer and the director, and then the other characters within the story. But it comes down to initially the character and how they come across on the page, and if they come across well and it resonates with me or interests me or makes me question things, then I'll, talk to the filmmaker, and whether that works well or not goes to the next step. And you start putting the cogs into the machine, and then at some point you go, okay, we're ready to go. But I don't want to do anything twice. I mean, this was very fun for me because I've done action movies, but this was sort of like, it was a mixture of high octane, super brilliantly choreographed action sequences, fight sequences, car crashes, all that stuff. But on top of that was a very relatable human being that I could see myself playing, which I was like, he's an everyman. But he, and he fights like an everyman. He's not a perfect killer, he doesn't know what he's doing most of the time, but he gets through it. And I like the fact that there was something about him that I could relate to. And I think when I look at characters, I don't want to relate to all of them, but I have to find something new, something interesting that I think the audience will resonate with. And I've got to make sure that people that have been watching my movies for the last 20 years will come back and believe this role. They've got to believe me in this character as they will believe me in many others. So I don't know whether I've answered your question, but that's what I think.
George, real quick, the gentleman with the tattoo face, the
Yes.
security. What I found really funny is the very opening sequence where Huang is facing all that indictments and stuff like that, and it's he's like, no, I'm a real businessman, and it's like, and his security guard has face tattoos.
Giant face tattoos.
So I was like, but who is that? Where did he come from? Is he local, or was he?
No, he was cast in Taiwan, so we wanted someone.
Is this the big guy?
Yeah, Patrick.
Yeah, biceps of
Exactly. So we had the casting director basically hit every gym in Taipei to try to find someone to come in, and Patrick willingly came in, and he'd spent the entire year prepping for a bodybuilding competition, and we said, okay, great, but we need to put these face tattoos. He goes, well, I can't compete with face tattoos, so you got to choose one or the other, and thankfully he chose us. So yeah, so unfortunately he had to give up a whole year of training, gave up the competition to be in this movie, and we're so grateful that he did.
And those were painted on
Oh yeah, no, they were applications that they last a while, but yeah.
No, he was very menacing, so it worked. So that's a good job.
Well, I discovered later on when we went to Taiwan for the Taipei premiere that he actually had a former life as a rom-com actor in Hong Kong. So I was going, what? Yeah, he was like this silly.
Was he that big?
No, he was skinny, and I've looked at some of the early photos, and and he was sort of this very thin, wafy,
so
sort
there's
of Woody
hope
Allen.
for me, then.
Oh please! You were hitting the gym twice a day. I would get up in the morning, stumble to get coffee, and I look in, and you're lifting. And then I come home at night, from the set, and you were lifting. It's like, oh my God, please rest.
That's not true.
But
thank you.
How did you get so swole, man? Look at that.
All right, do we have any other questions? Right here in the middle, right there.
Okay, first of all, thank you, George, for directing such a great entertaining movies, and Wyatt, congratulations, you're a natural, and keep up the great work. I understand it's your first movie, you did great. My question is for Luke. I've been a fan for 20 years, and I've never heard you singing, and you mentioned you sing. I was wondering if you'd be a lamb and just sing us a little.
I would, but right now we're going to ask questions about the movie. We're here to promote a film. My music career is all good. It's going well. I don't need to promote this, but I would love to keep talking about my movie. And if we have a second at the end, maybe me and Wyatt will just give you a little number. So the lady behind, another question behind.
No.
Somebody put their hand up. Maybe she wanted to make me sing as well. That's why. Okay, there we go. we've come to that point of the evening. It's clearly late. Is there any more movie questions, and then we'll get to the singing? By the way, if you hear Wyatt sing, you'll never want to hear anybody else sing. His voice is like beauty. Gentleman there.
Yeah, you kind of inferred a little bit that you shot this in the middle of summer. Was there a particular reason why you would shoot it in the middle of the summer?
George.
We weren't very smart about it. No, I mean, look, we had planned to go earlier, but things being what they are, 1 month turned into a 2-month delay, into a 3-month delay, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we got to go now if we're going to go at all, and so we didn't pull the trigger until like June, July, sadly.
And was this filmed last year?
Yes, it was filmed last summer. Yep.
Because again, also Asia, most of the Asian countries didn't come out of COVID. They were the last countries to open up.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So 2 years ago, actually here at this festival, when we had our Japan premiere, we had the Consul General here, and Japan had just opened up just the week before. And my real life, I'm a travel agent, so I made sure that because I recognized them, I was like, we have the Consul General, and I just wanted to tell you that we travel agents are so happy to send people back to Japan. Because they had just opened.
Yeah.
So part of your delay would have to have been that, too.
Certainly. I mean, we first went to Scout in February of last year, and it was still mandatory masks and everything. And so, yeah, that certainly caused, some delays as well, getting stuff off the ground.
Yeah, different parts of the country, different parts of the world.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else? I think we're looking for last questions here, and maybe one more.
The pastry chef reference. Now, was that an original plan, or did that just come about at the end within the writing or the script? Like, was that?
That was always in the script. Look, I'll be honest. One of the things Luke and I like to do when we write together is we like to eat. I'm not particularly proud of it, but yeah, we like to bond over pastries, and he makes a mean roast chicken. He loves dumplings. So it's weird. Like when we talk visuals, we actually use food a lot as sort of the visual reference. So it's yeah. Again, I'm not proud of it, and yeah, I'm sorry.
So I was going to ask a little bit about stunts, and I'll get to you next. But stunts, because I remember asking Wyatt if he had to do any stunts, if he had any double, because obviously you've got that scene where you're being beaten.
Yeah.
But was there any other sequences where you had any kind of action you were doing or had to practice for?
That was mainly the only stunt I had to do, but I'm
well,
actually
there's running.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's running, of course. And there's actually a really funny scene in the car, in the red Ferrari. Obviously May cannot actually drive the Ferrari because of like liability or something like that. But there's a French stunt guy, and he dresses up as May with like a wig on, like all this makeup, and like a crop top, and he's like the ugliest woman I've ever seen.
So it's real acting with Wyatt like sitting next to this stunt. Mom.
Imagine like his first time on a film set, and he's like, what the hell?
This is how the magic is
like
done.
A bearded, gnarly stuntman with your mother's wig on, like your mother's hair. It's so weird.
So did you want a question?
Yeah. When does the movie come out?
Oh yes, November 8th, and hopefully at a theater near you. So we're going to be on 1,000 screens on November 8th. 2 weeks, yeah.
Tell your friends. I hope you enjoyed it.
You are actually the first audience to see it in North America. So thank you all very much for being here.
So take all your pictures, Instagram it. Yeah, take all your pictures, tag Weekend in Taipei, and NBF, hashtag NBFF, and tell everybody, go see it in 2.5 weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.